These stories are going to keep happening. These dudes are going to keep being blindsided by their wives leaving. It's happening over and over because the dudes simply are not listening. Women are tired of this weaponized incompetence. And since we keep having these conversations in the public square, yes, this is public, we keep having these conversations as a community, we're saying that this is not right. They can do better. They are choosing not to do better. Let's look at this post in the 2X chromosomes. She says, I left my husband and I couldn't be happier. She says this is a rant/vent. I was with my partner for 15 years and the last several years were miserable. I turned into his parent and was in charge of everything, cleaning, paying the bills, etc. His laziness and selfishness ruined any semblance of a relationship we had. He had issues he refused to settle, and he weaponized his incompetence against me. He would gaslight me into feeling like this was just how marriage is supposed to feel. I'm the woman. I have to do everything while he gets to up and leave and go do fun things, all while I was left picking up the pieces of a marriage I thought was okay. He was viciously depressed, and while he would say that I was his world, it just felt like words. Nothing felt true because he hated himself so much that it felt like I was hated too. Yeah, I was his world. I was the one holding him up while he got to live the life he wanted to live. When I told him I was divorcing him, he accused me of everything in the book, from cheating on him to trying to passive-aggressively force me to come out to my parents. I'm queer-coded, but they know that and could care less. That's weird. She's married to a man. That's weird. Okay. To using him for financial gain, to leading him on. He has since apologized for it, but it just made me laugh. Okay, sure, Jan, that's why I'm leaving. It's definitely not because he turned into a lazy slob that did nothing for himself or his surroundings. It's not because for the first time ever in my life, I'm choosing me. I'm leaving him for myself. I know that he regrets letting everything go and effing up as hard as he did. That sucks for him. I hope that he works that out with someone and he can work to overcome those issues. In the meantime, I am the happiest I've been since I don't know when. I could cry knowing that past me is so grateful for present me standing up for herself and setting boundaries. I'm crying in bed for how proud of myself I am for doing this and standing up for myself. Now I'm dating people that I never thought would be attracted to me and who I thought I was out of their league. I'm realizing my self-worth for the first time in my life. I'm realizing that I deserve to be partners with someone who wants to be with me for me. I'm a hot ass effing B word that deserves so much more than what I was dealt. I'm never going back to the old ways again. I think that we needed to see this because so many times divorce has such a stigma. Sometimes people think that folks are going to be sad, but it is a turning of the page. It's just the next chapter for this particular woman. Now, it is going to be a next chapter for that man as well, but he's going to have to pick up the pieces of his life and properly learn how to take care of himself. When we go into these relationships, when we're going into an age-appropriate relationship with somebody, we figure that they are an adult that can handle adult situations, take care of themselves as an adult should. Women should not be caretakers for adult men. We're not raising our partners. We're not doing that anymore. Women are saying, no, come fully functional. So I do love this for this woman. I'm loving that she is smiling at herself for her accomplishments and all of that, and that she's choosing herself. Let's check out some of these comments. Little Marigold says, you go girl. I was in a similar position at the beginning of the year. He was jobless and had a mental disorder that he wasn't even trying to treat. Just wallowing in the fact that he was miserable and getting angry at me for offering to help in some way. When I dumped him, he said I was ruining his life. Nah, dude, I'm just not letting you share in the good fortunes of my life and my hard work. That was 8 months ago, and I haven't regretted it for a second. The OP's name is So Wise Guy says, I'm proud of you for standing up for you. Your achievements are yours. You shouldn't have to lower yourself to someone that doesn't want to receive help. At the bottom, Little Red Riding Peanut says, just left my alcoholic husband under very similar circumstances. Here's to putting yourself first. What I love about this conversation is women are having it in the public sphere. Even if there are only a handful of women that are talking, other women are reading this or hearing me tell these stories, and they know that it is possible to pick up the pieces of your life and stop giving to a broken vessel in another person and pour into yourself instead, and come out on the end, at the end of this chapter, being perfectly fine. That's the reason why I do this, because yes, I do know that we talk about the breakup parts, but what happens on the back end? Are they okay? And women are saying, I am perfectly fine. 8 months later, I am great. This me right now will be so much happier than the other me, the past me. And we need to have these conversations. The OP says, I'm so proud of you. Addiction is a terrible disease that will take down everything and everyone around it. You deserve the best for not only choosing yourself, but standing up against the adversity that addiction surrounds itself with. For the first time in my life, I don't want to sit and waste this beautifully chaotic life. It's my turn to have a piece of the effing pie. And then the Redditor says, you go, girl. Sunless Hour says, I'm sitting here by the window on an overcast day as I hit the last paragraph. Past me is so grateful for present me. The sun just burst through the clouds. Wishing you a future of sunshine, friend. You deserve it. The OP says, let the sunshine in and let me bathe in its warmth. Esoteric Otter says, proud of you, sis. Golden Miracle says, I'm pretty sure future you is also grateful for both present and past you. I'm happy for you. I know it is hard. My mother-in-law always regrets not leaving her husband. Me and my wife sometimes still try to convince her it's not too late, but it's hard. Anyway, best of luck and lots of love. And then the OP says, it is hard. Nothing about this is easy, but the longer they stay, the harder it becomes to leave. I couldn't stomach looking back at my life at 60 or 70 years old and regretting not getting out. Not sure of this name, but this woman says, I'm happy you left and you're doing well. I'm glad you didn't stay like my mom. She's been crying every night for over 50 years because of dad. It's best to leave a toxic relationship. You deserve better. There are better things ahead. And then the OP says, this was the driving force behind it. Do I want to wake up 59 years later and regret not doing this or speaking up for myself? I did want to get to this comment. I can't read. Cat says, girlie, just stay single. Don't get caught up in some man's BS again. LOL. Take the advice from all the wise older ladies in life. You'll be much happier just taking care of yourself. And then the OP says, yes, I genuinely do not want any commitments other than the ones to myself. The last thing I'm trying to do is get swept back up into someone else's BS. I got a lot of work to do on myself and deserve to preserve the peace at this time. So even though she is dating, it does not sound like she is dating to really settle down. Maybe she just wants to hang out with somebody. Anyways, I wanted to get to that part. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any stories to share. Join the conversation. I was sent this post a couple of times and I knew I had to do this because high value man is in the title and we already know that this is going to be some BS. So this woman posted in the Am I Overreacting subreddit saying, am I overreacting? So she's 28, he's 35. So she says, am I overreacting? My boyfriend, who is 7 years older than me, told me I needed to maintain my body because he's a high value man. Whew, like I said, we already know that this is going to be some BS. So let's check this out. She says, I recently moved into my boyfriend's apartment about 2 weeks ago. And since then, I've been seeing a darker side of his personality. He started telling me what clothes to wear, how I should style my hair, and he discourages me from going out on my own. He's also been pushing me to cut off some of my friends. Last night, he told me I should stop eating dinner altogether because in his words, I'm a high value man, so I could be picky with women. For context, he earns a decent salary, but he's far from being rich or a millionaire. Nothing about my weight or physique has changed since we met. I've always had an athletic build, just about 15 pounds over the ideal BMI, and he constantly used to call me sexy and beautiful. This shift feels sudden and confusing. He invited me to move in rent-free. I still work and pay my own bills, so I don't depend on him financially. I've been with him for 8 months, and this side of him didn't show up until I moved in. I feel conflicted and just need to hear other perspectives. Number one, moving in someplace rent-free does not mean that it's free of strings, so people have to get that together. But also, he thinks that you are locked in, and he's like, cool, the mask can finally drop. This is who he is. These dudes that parrot this BS are wild to me. This whole high value man situation, I thought that would have died out with Kitten Heels kicking the bucket, but it is still going on. Does this even work long term? The thing is, especially with this woman who was doing fine on her own, she was living on her own, she just recently moved in. Why would you do this? She's going to move out. She's not going to accept someone trying to sit up here and control her. She's already taken it and typed this out on Reddit. So she's obviously seeing some of these red flags, but already trying to control what she wears, her weight, and her friends. These are bright warning signs. These are bright lights going off, flashing, saying run, run, run. And like Spaghetti Monster put in bold and made bigger, run, do not walk, run, you are in danger. So that's what people are saying. So we're just going to say this, and this is for the other people. All of these people that are in these comment section are saying run, don't walk, run. That is what they're saying. But let's go ahead and read these comments so that you can see why we are saying these things. She says, I'm so sorry, but this was your boyfriend's true personality all along, controlling and abusive. It's no coincidence that he switched up once you moved in. Y'all have been living together for less than a month, and he's already trying to control you. Red flags. Your boyfriend was just wearing a mask until he could trap you by getting you to move in with him. He will not get better. He will get so much worse. The price of him letting you live rent-free was him having total control over your autonomy. That was the trap. Come live with me rent-free, and in exchange, I will completely dissolve your independence and limit your access to your support network so that I can better control you. Your boyfriend is trying to isolate you from your support network so he can ramp up his abuse. It will get so much worse if you stay with him. I promise you, the end goal will be to completely wear you down so that you have no sense of identity. He will keep making a fuss whenever you do your hobbies or spend time with friends because he doesn't want you to wake up and realize how controlling and abusive he is. This is where the whole keep the peace saying comes from. Abusers will make a stink every time their victims do their hobbies and spend time with their friends until their victims eventually give in and stop doing the things that make them happy. This is how victims lose themselves. Your boyfriend doesn't want you to have hobbies outside of the home because then he can't control you in those hours when you're away from him. And he doesn't want you to spend time with friends and family because he's afraid that someone will open your eyes to his abuse. Yes, his controlling behavior is abusive. It's emotional and psychological abuse right now, but it will quickly escalate to physical abuse if he's able to completely isolate you from your support system. Tell your friends and family what's going on. Let them help you move out ASAP, preferably when your boyfriend is away to avoid conflict. The first trap will always be a house trap. This is why abusers push to share living spaces after 6 to 8 months of dating, and sometimes even earlier, because they want to have easier access to their victims and because living together makes it so much harder to leave. This was your boyfriend's true intentions all along, convince you to live with him so he can slowly chip away at your confidence and self-esteem, and then completely dissolve your independence and autonomy so that he can have total control over you. Please read Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft when you get a chance. It's a real eye-opener and provides powerful hindsight about abuse cycles. Good luck. Please update us when you can. And then she says, ETA, thanks for the award. As others have mentioned, leaving is the most dangerous time in a victim's life because that's when their abuser gets the most desperate and violent because they do not want to lose control. Jacques Gonzalez says, wonderful advice. I'll add for OP. Please do not contact anyone through your cell, tablet, computer, or any email addresses that he could have access to. Use a device at work or at a library that never comes back to where you live. Create a new email that only you can access. Do not store that email or password anywhere on yourself or your device that he could locate. Make a plan to move out and utilize that link that Spaghetti Monster shared to do it safely. I've been where you are. I was broken down to believe he was the only one who cared about me after he worked on my contact with my own friends and family. Reach out if you need additional resources. Stay safe and you're not alone. Our mortgage says this is 100% true. My son's father did this to me and my daughters. He was amazing for 4 years. Then I got pregnant and he immediately wanted us to move in. 2 months after us living with him was the start of the name calling, putting me down, chipping away at my self-esteem till there was nothing left of the old me. Your boyfriend is a narcissistic a-hole like my ex. If you stay with him, he'll eventually start throwing things at you, hitting you, cheating on you, telling anyone that will believe his lies that you're the problem, a psycho B-word. It's been 7 years since I left him, and I'm starting to feel a little bit like my old self. Sweetie, please don't let this happen to you. Leave that loser. You're way better than him and you deserve better. I'm so glad that so many of these women are sharing their stories in the public space and sharing these tips to get away. Do not let things escalate to the point where you're completely isolated or financially dependent or your self-esteem is on the floor. Don't let it get to that point. You start seeing these red flags, you get away. Zia Orabear says, not overreacting, get out of there. He is a manipulator who is just masking his real intentions. The more you become dependent on him, the more he will let the mask slip. He was love bombing you before. Now that you've moved in, he feels like he can start to be a bit more demanding. His next step is progress in isolating you from your friends. He will probably also eventually encourage you to become financially dependent as well. Like you only need to work part-time since you don't have to pay rent, so that you will be unable to leave. Feeling entitled to control what you eat and how you dress and who you see is an extremely bad sign. You hear about this kind of thing happening with some couples where one person drops the act and becomes much more harsh and demanding after they get married too, knowing that their partner will feel like they've invested too much or feel too much social pressure to do something about it. It is good for you that he let the mask slip too early while you're still financially independent. Oh yeah, and also anyone using that high value manosphere nonsense is also a red flag, but the other stuff you mentioned is all worse. There we go. I know that some of this stuff is repetitive, but it bears repeating because many of these things, the playbook is the same. How they isolate you is the same. The financial independence, slowly. This stuff is slowly degrading to you and who you were before so that you're financially dependent and easier to control. Wild Thing says, you need to leave as soon as possible. Find anywhere that will work. Organize a storage unit for your belongings and camp on someone's lounge if needed. Do you have family nearby that are able to support you? Also, make sure you are in control of your birth control. Do not tell him. Get your ducks in a row when you are ready. Explain to work that you need to escape an abusive relationship and need 2 days to move out and make sure you are safe. 1 day to move and the other to simply decompress and breathe. Also to not be at work when he goes there. That's if he contacts work looking for you. They are not to tell him anything, assuming he does not work at the same place as you. Please get your workplace on your side as he is likely to turn up there and they can call the police to have him trespassed. Once he has gone to work, remove your stuff. Most important, first decide what you can live without. Move into your new place. If you normally leave before him, then leave just another normal day and return after he will have left. Only tell a small handful of trusted friends of yours. If a friendship was formed with someone he knows, do not tell them. Tell family that you know will have your back. Up to you if you leave a note telling him why you left, but tell him not to try to contact you. See if there is a legal form that can be left telling him that he is not to contact you or try to find you. Take photos/video, TV on in the background with news to confirm date and time of the video of the apartment as you left it. He could try damaging his belongings/apartment in order to be able to have the police track you down for criminal damage. Block him on everything. Get a new phone if you need to. Go silent on social media. I don't mean to seem like I'm overreacting, but with men like this, statistically, when you leave is the most dangerous time. They lose the control they crave. You have not complied and they will try to get it back. They will teach you that they are in control. Organize a ride to work for a few weeks or a taxi/Uber, etc. to make sure he is not able to follow you back to your new place. Contact the police if he confronts you in any way, shape, or form. Get information from networks out there for abused women. They will have resources to help you with your escape. Do not be afraid to call the police on him. Don't threaten him with leave or I will call. If he turns up somewhere, phone first so he hears you talking to them and they will hear him have his tantrum in the background. Good luck. I wanted to get to this part because it is absolutely true and imperative to know and understand that this leaving is one of the most dangerous times. Women need to understand this, that they are not in control of their emotions when they start to lose control. So keep that in mind. Have a sense of self-preservation. Try to keep yourself safe and do all of these steps like when they are away. Don't be a hothead and say, that's why I'm leaving you. Do not do that. Keep your wits about yourself and take everything with this that this woman has said and execute a game plan. Join the conversation. Leave any tips that you might have. The next woman could be reading this and taking notes. I want to share this story, but I do know that I need to put a trigger warning for emotional abuse in this story. So let's go ahead and check this out. This woman posted on Threads a couple of days ago saying, there is constant conflict/drama between my boyfriend and my 8-year-old odd DHD daughter, little E. Plainly put, he can't stand her because she can be so difficult. She causes too much drama, too many messes, argues too much, breaks the rules, disrupts his life and his peace. Meanwhile, little E thinks the world of him and has no idea of his discontent towards her. Every night when I tuck her into bed, she tells me to tell him to sleep good and to have good dreams. 99% of the time, I don't even tell him anymore because he doesn't respond. This morning, little E walked into the kitchen where he was and very politely told him with a smile, "Good morning." He didn't acknowledge her, and even though it didn't seem to faze her, my heart broke. Like, seriously, what the freak? How the F am I still here, choosing to stay and keep little E in the environment? You don't need to tell me I'm a mom. I know I am. So that was the post. And people were laying into her. People were laying into her to the point where it's just like she knows that she needs to get out. She's typing it up on Threads. I'm sure that she's typing it up on Threads as a way to like psych herself up to get out of this situation. I don't know why she typed it up on Threads because she knows I'm a mom. I know I am. So what did people do? They swooped in to let her know you are in fact a mom. And when I read that, I was like, I wonder how helpful these people really believe that they are being versus what this next woman did. I'm going to share what this next woman does versus all the other people that just let her know how crappy she was as a mother. This woman, Moss and Moonlight, says, I see a lot of fellow people with odd DHD are commenting here, and I know I'm about to get totally and completely slammed for this. While I am an advocate for the odd DHD community because I am diagnosed, I'm also an advocate for abuse victims as I have personally experienced both. I am well versed in the statistics of both. Odd DHD are prone to rejection sensitivity and black and white thinking. I think a lot of people in the community, and I say this with the utmost kindness, are feeling personally rejected by this post as if all the feelings you experience as E are being relived in real time. But awareness tells us this is our own sensitivity speaking when advocating for this child. The reality is, while we may feel extremely strongly about this, it's not black and white. There is an entire emotional and financial abuse side to this. This woman knows she's wrong, wants to get out, but feels helpless and hopeless. She needs help. Berating her will only discourage her, not empower her to know, and E will be so much better without this man. She needs an exit strategy. She needs help. This is a cry for help from an abuse victim if I ever heard one. Yes, E is being emotionally abused, but so is mom. They both need empowerment and strategy to get out where they can find someone who loves them both. Mom needs reminder reflection. How he treats E is a reflection of his love for her. In this case, a complete lack thereof. I understand the strong feelings, but both mom and E are victims here. Leaving a relationship you're trauma bonded to is like withdrawing from hard drugs. And even if that weren't the only reason, many people in long-term relationships have to sort finances and a plan, particularly if they weren't the breadwinner. I know too many people won't try to hear what I'm getting at and say I'm justifying the abuse and I'm a terrible advocate, etc., when all I'm trying to say is they're both victims. And then she says, honestly, I'm in a way fragile place emotionally and don't have the capacity for backlash, so I'm going to be a coward and disable comments. I appreciate that she took the time to say this, because as I read that, I felt like this was a cry for help, because otherwise, why would you put this on social media where people are going to come for you? So yeah, let me show you why I felt so strongly that I wanted to put Moss and Moonlight first. This mom, Black mommy activist, says, "You're a mom, have a good day." Like, what is that supposed to help? You're a mom, have a good day. How is that going to help her feel compelled to get out of her situation? She already knows that she needs to get out. So piling on, how does that help this woman? JD to the Beach says, weird, he's still your boyfriend. You're complicit in her abuse if you continue to keep him around. Lulu Lucy says, a grown adult and a child do not have a drama between them. You have an adult who is a jerk to a child. AKA Word says, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, but he's emotionally abusing your child and you're allowing it. If you don't nip this now, you will regret it later. Signed, a DV survivor and advocate. D. Hedge Writer says, I'm commenting again because I think you're a dangerous enabler and your boyfriend may escalate to physical violence against her. Take this seriously or you'll regret it for the rest of your life. If you're not ready to leave, call a trusted family member to come pick her up from you. Someone who hates a sweet 8-year-old is dangerous, and your child is even more vulnerable statistically because she's neurodivergent. Get her to safety. AK June says, why are you with this man? And then she says, I'm not being snarky. What are his good qualities? Has he always been like this, or is this a recent change? Is it something that he could work on in therapy? Victoria says, as a single mom who struggles daily to keep a roof over mine and my daughter's head, who works her butt off to make sure she and I don't go without anything we need, I would rather live in a box than let anyone mistreat my girl. Your child deserves so much better. Erica Jane says this 100 times. Modern Living Book says, how about instead of flailing around online for validation, call a real life friend and make a plan to get out? And then Morning Bird says to her, that's a pretty unkind comment for someone with Jesus in their profile description. These are all women, and obviously these women are feeling very strongly. I get that. I totally get that. And this is where I say things like women need to have a game plan. B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P. We need to always have a game plan, because if not for a sense of self-preservation for ourselves, I want us to have a sense of self-preservation for our children and be able to get away if necessary. So many people will try to get online and say things like submit to a man and blah, blah, blah. And, talking about let the man lead and all this and that. Absolutely not. You need to be able to have your own finances independently and be able to get out if necessary. So I don't know what this woman's plan is. I went back to look for this post and she had deleted it. And I'm sure she deleted it because people were coming for her. You're not going to be able to advocate. Like, I get that these women want to advocate for the child. I get that. But if you beat down her mother to the point where she just goes into a shell. She knows that she can't reach out to this community for help. And the people that might be in the same situation know that certain people are not safe people to have these types of discussions with. This is one of the main reasons why I talk about things how I do, because you want people to feel safe enough to discuss issues that they're going through without knowing that they are going to be beat down. You can advocate for somebody. You can give them, talking points or resources or things without piling on and completely harming them. And when I say harming them, obviously I don't mean harming them physically, but you can beat someone down mentally and emotionally to the point where they don't reach out again. This story just touched me in a space that is just like, we can all do a little bit better when we're advocating for people that need help. So just take that First Lady, Moss and Moonlight, some of the things that she said, and try to implement them in a day-to-day when you're talking to people that might need a little push, but they don't need to be pushed off a cliff. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
I'm out of here. There's no women for me in America, so I'm left with no choice. I'm leaving the States. For good. That is, if I find a suitable wife overseas. Don't ask me where I'm going. You'll find out soon enough. Just know that I'm going far, far away from here. Because if I stay too long, I may revert back to being queer. Women in this country clearly don't take me seriously. It's starting to make me reconsider being with men and think deliriously. It's about time that I ventured out into new waters in search for a companion. Soon I hope to be kissing my woman up in a tree. Perhaps a banyan. I need a woman who can handle a man taking charge. And in return, she'll be given a great life and a chance to live large. Yes, I think I'll find her in this new destination. And once I do, I'll pop the question without any hesitation. If you know of any women in London looking for United States citizenship, let them know that I'm here, previously queer, and looking for a wife for an immediate marriage.